Somewhere around 475 BCE, China entered one of the most brutally competitive eras in its history, a stretch of roughly 250 years now known with admirable bluntness as the Warring States period. If you're picturing a chaotic free-for-all of kingdoms constantly fighting each other while occasionally inventing crossbows and philosophy, congratulations, you've basically got it. The period emerged from the slow collapse of the Zhou dynasty, which had technically ruled China for centuries, but by this point held about as much real authority as a retired mascot. Real power had shifted to regional states, and eventually 7 major players emerged as the dominant contenders: Qin, Chu, Qi, Yan, Han, Zhao, and Wei. Picture 7 ambitious CEOs, all technically working under the same increasingly irrelevant parent company, quietly building private armies and plotting hostile takeovers. What makes this era fascinating isn't just the near-constant warfare, though there was plenty of that, but the sheer intensity of innovation it produced. Desperate to survive and dominate, these states invested heavily in military technology, administrative reform, and somewhat unexpectedly, philosophy. This is the era that gave China Confucianism's rival schools of thought a serious run for their money, as legalism rose to prominence, arguing that strict laws and centralized control, rather than moral virtue, were what actually held a state together. Sun Tzu's The Art of War, still required reading in military academies and business schools today, either emerged from or was heavily shaped by this environment of relentless strategic competition. Warfare itself transformed dramatically. Armies grew from tens of thousands to potentially hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Iron weapons replaced bronze, and the crossbow became a genuine game changer, allowing less trained soldiers to inflict serious damage from a distance. States built massive defensive walls, some of which were later connected and expanded into what eventually became the Great Wall of China. Nothing says we really don't trust our neighbors quite like a several thousand-mile wall. Diplomacy became its own brutal art form. States formed and broke alliances constantly, employing wandering strategists and diplomats who moved between rival courts, offering advice, sometimes loyal, sometimes not, in a system that resembled a very high-stakes, very lethal game of chess. Betrayal was common enough that trusting an ally too much was basically considered a rookie mistake. Eventually, the state of Qin, ruthless, efficient, and thoroughly committed to legalist principles, outcompeted and outconquered the other 6 states one by one. In 221 BCE, Qin's ruler unified China under his rule, declaring himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, and effectively ending 2.5 centuries of relentless conflict. He's the same emperor famous for the terracotta army and, less famously, for dying from mercury pills he believed granted immortality. The Warring States period wasn't just chaos for chaos's sake. It forged the philosophical, military, and administrative foundations of Imperial China for the next 2,000 years, proving that sometimes the most transformative eras in history are also the messiest.